Hey, good morning, everybody. Bob here, your virtual upline. I hope you're having a great week. It is good to be back. Was traveling last weekend for a marketing conference in California, but back here in the regular, normal swing of things. Two quick things. One, today I want to be sharing a message with you about really something to be thinking about, a secret, if you want to call it that, of how you can help your new recruits see success, or how you can help more of your new recruits see success. And this message is actually based off of an idea from a study that was done. And the name of the study is actually, well, maybe not the name of the study, but the name of this phenomenon is actually called the Pygmalion effect. One of the speakers at the seminar that I was attending last weekend brought this up in his speech, and I thought it was a really powerful example of the power of belief. And so it's called the Pygmalion effect, and it immediately, anytime I'm attending a seminar, the number one thing on my mind is, taking notes for myself, but also thinking of things that I can bring back and teach to all of you. So I think you're going to find this really, really insightful. So I want to share that with you today. But I also want to remind you that our rescheduled Instagram training is happening today with Brock Johnson at 1:00 p.m. this afternoon. We are going to be talking about how to get your first 1,000 Instagram followers. So Brock and I will be streaming live right here into the group. So if you're interested in really learning Instagram and getting that going in your business, today would be a great training for that. And as always, if you can't make it live, not a big deal. We'll have the recording. You'll be able to check it out whenever you want. So let me go ahead and get right into this message here. So the Pygmalion effect was actually based off of a study that was done in a California elementary school. It was actually called the Rosenthal-Jacobson study. Not that that really matters at all, but here's basically what they wanted to find out. They wanted to find out, could a student's performance be positively affected if a teacher basically treated them differently? So if a teacher thought that a student was smarter or should be performing better, could that simple thought or belief actually affect their performance, the outcomes? And what they did in this study was they took all of the students in a California elementary school. They gave them an IQ test in the beginning of the year without anybody knowing that that was happening. They didn't know it was an IQ test. And they randomly, and the teachers didn't know this was happening either. They randomly selected 20% of the students, completely random, and they labeled these 20%ers as what they called intellectual bloomers. So what they basically did was they took this completely random sample of 20% of students, and they told all of their teachers that these were like the intellectual stars, that they should be expected to really, really exceed expectations and blossom during the school year. And then what they did was at the end of the year, they gave them another IQ test, and they wanted to measure their performance. And as what could be expected, there were moderate, average increases across the population with the entire student body from the beginning to the end of the year. But the 20% of the students that were labeled as intellectual bloomers saw significant increases in their performance and outcomes. So what this study told us was that basically that the expectations that the teachers had for these students actually helped them achieve better outcomes. And I think that there's such a powerful lesson in that because, I talk a lot about this big job that we have as leaders. And specifically when you sponsor a new person onto your team. Or even if you're just working with someone, maybe you didn't personally sponsor them into the business, but you're mentoring an up-and-coming person. One of your biggest jobs is to take that new person that has hope. They have hope for a better life for themselves, but they don't yet have the necessary belief that serves as the foundation for them taking consistent action, getting through all of the struggles and the challenges. And your job as a leader is to take that new person that has hope and transfer your belief into them. And the Pygmalion effect basically says this, and I'll just show you this cool diagram, that your beliefs about other people influence the way that you act towards them. And the way that you act towards them actually influence their beliefs about themselves, which ultimately influences their results. So let's think about this. Let me say this another way. The way that you believe, like if you truly believe someone on your team is going to have success, that will influence the way you talk to them, and it will influence the way that you work with them, and it will influence the way that you treat them. And the way that you act towards them is going to determine their level of belief. So like if you have high expectations of people, if you hold them accountable and you're not afraid to call them out when they're not following through and doing what they said they should do, and you're reminding them, I'm only being difficult with you because I believe in you. You're destined for greatness. I promise you one thing. You have two different people, exact same person. On one hand, you just kind of let them go do what they do. You're there for them when they need you, and you're not really leading them the way they need to be led. Scenario number two, you really hold that person accountable, right? You set goals together. When they get off course, you call them out. You're always reminding them, look, you're destined for greatness, but you got to work for it. There's so much in store for it. Like you really treat them like they should be excelling. The chances of them succeeding are infinitely greater. And here's another, what I think, really powerful thing to understand about this idea of the Pygmalion effect, is that we as a leader, we have to constantly be speaking this belief into the people that are on our team. We have to be providing them constant encouragement, right? We have to really, really be believing in someone enough to challenge them to become their best. But there's a really important piece here, okay? There's a really important thing that this study does not talk about, that we talk about all the time, and that I want you to understand. It's going to be difficult for you to do this. It's going to be difficult for you to truly influence other people with your belief in them if you don't first believe in yourself. You can't give to someone else what you haven't first yet given to yourself. And you must learn to divorce yourself from all of the stories that you've created about how you're not good enough and how you're not worthy. You must learn how to step out of this scarcity mindset that you've created for yourself. And you must learn how to give this to yourself. Because you can't give to someone else what you haven't first given to yourself. This will be worthy of an entire different video, but I'm going to just say this now because I'm on this topic. So many of you struggle with a scarcity mindset in your business. You really do. A mindset of lack. You've created these stories about how you're not good enough and you don't deserve success and you're not this and you're not that. What I want to challenge you is this. So many people, when they talk about the scarcity mindset, they tell you that really you need to have an abundance mindset, right? You need to learn how to go from scarcity to abundance. You need to think big, you need to dream big, you need to set big goals. And I actually don't believe that that's the way that this works. because I don't know about you, but I've struggled with scarcity mindset for so many years in my business. And for me, the thought of the leap from scarcity to abundance was so great. Like, it was so hard for me to think, like when I was in that place of scarcity thinking. It was really hard for me to step into abundance, right? Because I didn't have barely anything happening. And what I've learned is I think that the message needs to be this. The shift that you need to make first is not from scarcity to abundance. The shift that you need to make is from scarcity to enough. You need to step into the fact, to the belief that you are enough, that you are worthy and deserving of success. And when unless you're operating from that foundation of worthiness and being enough, right? Because I'll tell you what, shifting from scarcity to enough, any one of you can do that. See, abundance, having so much, hitting the big rank, it's so far away for some of you. Some of you, that's not going to happen until you acknowledge that you are enough. And here's the trick, you can do that at any moment. You can decide, you can change your story. And here's where this relates to this topic today. The moment that you step into enough, you now have created the space to be able to give that to others. So when we go back to this message of this Pygmalion effect about how your beliefs about other people, the way you treat them, the way you speak to them has a significant factor in whether or not they succeed. Now that doesn't mean that they still don't have a role. That doesn't mean that they still don't have a responsibility. But what it does mean is that you play a great determinant in getting there. You know, your role as a leader is one with great responsibility. People will look up to you. Every word that you say will have an influence over their actions and their beliefs about themselves. So we have to always be mindful of this. So here's the takeaway from today's video. I want you to pay attention to the way that you treat the people that are on your team and the way you talk to them. And think about it. This is not just about like making them feel good. This is like, I promise you this, and it didn't say this. I bet you the teachers, that those 20% of students, I bet you the teachers were way harder on those students because they expected more. It wasn't just about them affirming them and being nice. It was like, look, they probably set boundaries. They called them out, right? Because they had high expectations. And that's the thing that you learn, is that people will have a tendency to rise to the level of your expectations. So have high expectations of people. Be able to deliver that support in a challenging but loving and compassionate way, and take that belief that you've given to yourself that you are enough, transfer that into others, and watch your leadership ability go through the roof. So that's the message for today. It was actually, just for those of you that joined late, something called the Pygmalion effect. It's a really cool study that was done. Go check it out. But more importantly, I want you to bring more of this into your business. So hey, look, today, 1 o'clock, we've got the Instagram training with Brock Johnson. Brock and I will be streaming live here right in the group. We're going to be going over some Instagram basics of growing your account to your first 1,000 followers. We will be taking some questions. So join live if you need some help with Instagram. And if you miss that, you can just watch the recording. So have a great day, everybody. Hope you got a lot of value out of the message. Take care.